I'm gonna talk about the two, mainly from the avalanches in 2020, but I'm gonna mention also the big avalanche in '95 that kind of, so I'll start with that. And then how do I go the next one? Okay, so in 1995, there was in the middle of the night, at around 4 a.m., 26th of October, there was a catastrophic avalanche in Flateyri, and it hit 30 homes, and 16 of those homes were completely destroyed. There were 45 people caught in the avalanche somehow, and 20 people lost their lives. It was a big, catastrophic event in Iceland, and the previous winter before, there was another avalanche in Súðavík that killed 14 people. So these were two big avalanches in the same year, both in 1995, but in the different winters. So at that time, so here you have the outline of, you can see Flateyri here. This picture is quite recent. It has now a mitigation dam, but in '95 there was nothing here. There was no protection. There was just a few small cones that didn't do anything. And this is the big avalanche, size 5, that came in the middle of the night and went over a big part of the town. And there were a lot of houses here that got completely destroyed. I just have a short, this is kind of the low pressure that was causing the avalanche, and here you have some plots of the wind. See, it was a big storm, northeast storm, with winds gusting up to 60 meters per second and averaging 40 for a long time, 35 to 40 meters. So it's a really bad storm, and it lasted for a few days. And this was like one of the first storms in the winter. So I mean, it's in October. And I mean, there was hardly any winter in like in the south or anything. It was just like one of the first winter storms. So in '95, before that, most in these avalanches, most victims were in houses located in kind of safe zones that was considered back in that time. And so after these two catastrophic avalanches in Súðavík and Flateyri, people decided we should have to, look at avalanche danger in a more systematic way, and consider what's acceptable risk where you live. So they started a big fund. So if you own a property in Iceland, some amount of like the tax, if you own a property, it doesn't matter if it's an avalanche zone. So like any property in Iceland, you have to pay a small amount that goes in this avalanche fund, or that's supposed to be used to protect or build mitigation structures in Iceland. So we were starting to look at after that, like what's acceptable risk. So obviously, like then you start to have to look at the return periods of avalanches. And for example, if you are living all of your life in a house where the return periods may be 300 years, and you are reach the age of 75, you could be at 25% probability that you are hit by avalanche, and that's totally unacceptable. So we came up with like to try to look at all the towns where there is avalanche danger, and that's you kind of have to do these avalanche risk zones, where you have these 3 zones, A, B, and C, with increasing risk, and these are sort of all the locations in Iceland. I have Flateyri here in the west, and Neskaupstaður that have been hit by big avalanches, but all these other small dots are also towns where you have avalanche danger. So it's in a lot of places in Iceland. So it's a big job, and it costs a lot of money to build all these mitigation structures. Here you have a hazard map from Flateyri in 2004. And you see these zones A, B, and C. This is after the avalanche in 95, they built this mitigation structure. So then we consider we have moved the zone A and B all the way up to this so these houses are fairly safe. They're still on zone A. That's considered like in very bad events, there could be overflow of the dam. So this is what we were working on in 2020. So we were considering these houses on zone A, so fairly safe. But here you can see the hazard lines before the dam. So here you can see all of the town was like far within the zone C. So totally unacceptable. Here I'm gonna show you some outlines of avalanches. So this is before 95. So you can see what kind of situation Flateyri was in. It was kind of unbelievable that we didn't have more avalanches after this newer part of the town was built up. All of the old houses were just along the coast here because there were quite frequent avalanches here, as you can see. But then they were always building houses further and further up into the mountain, and they were actually planning to build another street here further up. So luckily that was not done yet. So here and on the right you have avalanches after 95. So they built the dam, and you can see how many avalanches have hit the mitigation dams after 95 until now. And I also have the two red avalanches, and those are the avalanches in 2020. I'm going to show you some pictures that overflew the dam. So it's kind of interesting to see just how effective we were really starting to trust these dams until 2020. It had been hit multiple times, but never really by really big avalanches. But still, like one here that kind of went, quite far. So people were really, we were going through many storms, and people were just sleeping there, and we didn't have to worry too much. But then in 2020. Just after 11 in the evening on January 14th, avalanche released in Skollahvilft, which is this one here, the big one, same one as released in 95. And we got a call, and it had went into the harbor and completely destroyed a lot of the harbor structures, and most of the small boats in Flateyri got destroyed. So it kind of flew, as you can see here, along the dam and all the way into the harbor here. And the outline is kind of drawn here, but this is also maybe of the flood kind of hitting here. And then shortly after, another avalanche fell from Innra Bæjargil, which is this one, maybe half an hour later or something. And one house there was hit and half filled with snow, and there was a family inside there, a parent, 2 children, and a teenager. And the teenager was buried for about 30 minutes, but was saved and was totally fine. Nothing happened to her. Here you have, I'll show you the storm. It was kind of weird. It was like a bad storm for kind of a long time, and you can see here in 10th of January was very heavy snowfall and strong winds. But then the weather calmed down for almost 2 days, 1.5 days, and we were measuring avalanches, and then it kind of picked up again, but much less. Here you see it's a much weaker storm, less snowfall, but still snowing and northeast winds. And then it fell kind of right at the end of the storm. It had been quite bad weather for a long time with kind of breaks, and then this little bit extra triggered like it was like everything had reached the limit and everything just rushed down. There was a lot of really big avalanches in the west. And here you have this is one of the first pictures we got from it's just a few minutes after the avalanche in the harbor. And you see, this is like a floating bridge that was swept away and taken across, and this is all avalanche debris in the harbor. This is the house from the other avalanche that the teenager, right behind here is the house, the room where the teenager was. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a while. And here you have an aerial photograph. So you can see the two avalanches, this one kind of going here and into the harbor, and this one here. They were really working the dams. They were deflecting the avalanche into the ocean, but there was this lighter snow that we call, it's going with different names. The English, trying to remember the English name now. It's, yeah, I'll come to it later. I just have the Icelandic word now, but it's kind of a mixture of powder snow and a lot of air. It's not this dense snow, and that was flowing over the dams and doing some damage. Here you have some a picture of this. It's called kind of like turbulent coherent structure, and fluidized regime. That's kind of the technical word for it. It's kind of sitting in front of it and above it, and the avalanche is going from the right to the left, and it's taking up snow in the landscape. And if there's a lot of powder snow in the landscape, this is like getting bigger and bigger, and this is going quite a lot faster than the main dense avalanche. And this part here went over the dams and caused damage on the inside of the wall. And here we had two Doppler radars. I don't know how I'm doing with time. I'm worried that it's also interesting, but yeah, okay. Anyway, we had two radars. It's like Doppler radars here, and they were looking constantly up into this gully. And here you can see the signal. The red line is the operator, and the green is the lower one. And after looking at this, people have been interpreting this as the kind of the fluidized regime in the front. It's coming here. This is the speed, so it's traveling really fast, up to 55, almost to up to 60 meters per second. So somewhere from 40 to 60 meters per second. But then this operator was destroyed. It broke and was carried all the way down here. And the lower radar, the green one, was listening here, and that one didn't see the fluidized regime, but it's more picking up the dense avalanche that's flowing down here. The speed spectra it's spanning. It's more span, and it's not reaching as high speed. It's still going up to maybe 45, 50 meters per second, but a little bit slower and wider range. So that one was listening to the dense core. This is the operator, Doppler radar, that was broken. It was standing here, and it was broken off the mast, and we found it down here. So these are the two outlines. So I've highlighted sort of the red, the overflow of this lighter part of the avalanche. We have a lot of data from there. This is some data from a drone. So we were able to subtract. It takes like the surface and then subtracts the base of the landscape, and we can see sort of the thickness of the avalanche. And along here, it was up to 4 to 5 meters thick along the dam. But on the inside, you don't really see any difference between the avalanche and just the snow in the landscape. And here you also have, I'll show you some pictures. This is like a snow pit we dug on the inside. So it's hard to see. It's just like very white snow. You can see the old snow here, and this is the avalanche snow, maybe 50 centimeters thick. But it's very dry, and you can see like branches sticking and debris in the snow. But it's kind of hard to see there was sometimes hard to see where you're just on older, just fresh snow and the avalanche. It's very thin, but it caused a lot of damage. It was very powerful and traveling really fast. But this is the avalanche on the outside. You can see it's like they dug a trench here. It was quite interesting to see, and was up to 4 to 5 meters thick. And here you can see where the kind of all the vegetation is scraped off. This is the avalanche dam, the divergent dam. And so this is after this events, we had to do the hazard maps, because obviously it was not working quite well, and you can see the C and B lines have been they're going now, and all of these houses now are back on zone C, which is unacceptable. So and actually the zone C has reached further here because the avalanches are going with more force and can reach actually a little bit further in the harbor. So now people are designing something to do to make this safe again, to build this wall higher and to have some cones up in there. So I'm going to just show you some pictures, because it's always just interesting to show pictures. This is the picture again from the house where the teenager was buried. And this is again, I really like this aerial photo showing how it's getting diverted. This is from a newspaper. This is in the harbor. Like there was a lot of destruction in the harbor. The boats were all in the harbor, and many of them got destroyed. This is one of the first scene that me and Örn, we went right away. Like 1 hour after we heard about the avalanche, we went into one of the rescue ships, and we sailed over there and came there. This is a few hours after the avalanche, and this is the first scene. I could see like a clear line here in the dam where the avalanche had been flowing along here, and then like subsiding, like so the dense layer probably reached all the way up here, scraped up here, and then kind of as it flew down, it got a little bit lower. This is a video. See if I can play it. So this is in the harbor. There's still a storm going on. We're just kind of standing on the avalanche debris here, and see how close all of these houses are on the inside here. And go to the next one. Yeah, this is just a picture from the same area. This is a mast that was in the harbor that you can see how the force is completely bended. And this is we're walking up along the dam, and you can see how the dense part of the avalanche has been scraping up here, and then kind of as it flew down, it kind of lowers so this is how high it reached the maximum, but the dry powder went over. And this is the next house. It's just a few meters from the other house, and you see there's some avalanche debris on the corner here, but then you couldn't see any sign here, but it was like almost completely destroyed here, and then a few meters away it was dying down. So the force is dying down very quickly when you walk a few meters. And this is another video from around the house. There were cars that were taken and just thrown maybe 50 meters. They didn't roll. It seems like they just airborne from like 50 meters, and there were no like signs they had been rolling. More like just like taken and flown away. And this is the house that was Ólafstún, and it was maybe 11:30 in the evening. The two kids were asleep on the other side of the building, and it was very little snow. They went into that room, but the parent was standing behind the wall here. Maybe I have, yeah. She was standing right here and talking in the phone to her friend, and her friend heard and she just started screaming, "There's avalanche!" And the avalanche just swept on either side of the wall, and this is probably the only location she could have been standing and not being harmed. She was totally fine, but she was just had snow up to her waist after the avalanche, and the avalanche just any window that was up in the mountain just broke, and it was just like air and powder snow going into the house, and like interior walls were completely broken, but the main outside wall and was fine of the house. So it went. These are just light walls, and they were destroyed. This is more also from inside. And this is from the walkway in the house, and the snow was maybe 1.5 built all the way to the roof, almost here. And this is where the teenager was lying. So she was in the room, and then she was the wall here was completely broken off, and she was pushed into the walkway and was under 1.5 meters of snow. And this is where she was lying here. But the rescue team was all awake because of the first avalanche. So they were all like going out and, because of the first avalanche in the harbor. So they came here just a few minutes after the avalanche, and they started digging here. But still, it took them 30 minutes to dig down, and she passed out. Doesn't remember anything, but then she was totally fine. Probably the mattress saved her also from bruises. So she was lying in the bed. This is the aerial photo of the harbor, so you can see how the avalanche kind of went here. It's a few days after, and a lot of the boats are lying here also, just kind of interesting. And here you can see the dam. Here's the dense avalanche on the outside, and then the light snow part of the avalanche went over, and this is the house that was hit. And here you can see the cars, and this house was totally fine. Just a few, so it was very strong force here, and then it seems to die out maybe 102 or 200 meters behind this wall. It just kind of, the power just goes away. So a lot of destructive power very close here, but then it dies down. How am I on time? I finished the pictures, but I have a few videos, but how am I doing with the time? Am I past the?
No. Please show us some videos.
Okay, so but since because we are now doing a lot of work to reassess the danger behind these structures in all of Iceland, because of we're just gaining a lot of new knowledge about how these avalanches work and the speed, and so there is this model called Open Foam that I want to show you some videos and see if I can. So I have here to show you here. Oops, I have to move it to here, I think. Right. So here, can you see this? Yeah. So here, this is the
yes, we can.
Open Foam model. So we can just trigger. We put the same. We know the outline of the 95 avalanche. This is the outline of the avalanche 95. And we know approximately where the starting zone was, because we saw the crowns and everything, or people back then. And we know the volume, so we just trigger that here and see how it if it's gonna go into this outline. And I'll just trigger it here, and it's kind of flowing out of the dolly. And it's really working. I mean, it goes a little bit further in some areas and less in others, but it kind of reaches this same. Seems to be going a little bit further here for some reason, but it's still quite promising. And I'm going to show you another video of. We have also done simulations for these two avalanches in 2020 with the dams. Actually, no, sorry. This is the. Oh yeah, let's see this. Here you see the outlines. We are actually, sorry, we are having the outlines of the 2020 avalanche. And see how it's, so this is the known outline here. So we can run it on the landscape, and we just do kind of experiments on how, if we erase this wall, what's it gonna do? And so I'll show you also from the Skollakvilt. So this is the Skollakvilt eruption. No, the avalanche. It's coming down here, and here you see the outline. It's showing a little bit of overflow. The open form is just it's not taking into account the light part of the avalanche, so it's showing a slight overflow of dense, but it was just the right dry snow that kind of overflowed there. And I have one really cool from Bolungarvík, because then you can see how it kind of here we have in Bolungarvík a big dam and some cones. I'll play it again, and we are triggering like a very big avalanche and seeing how this structure is withstanding like a catastrophic avalanche. And so open form is suggesting that these structures should be quite good, so we probably won't have to do any more here. So, and this is like the best to have cones, and then above the dam, and that's the plan now. They are doing work on how are we gonna do the walls in Flateyri better, and I think the solution is to put some cones to take the most of the force out before it hits the wall. Yeah, and that's gonna be the solution.